Adult Learning Pathways. Welcome, everybody. My name's Snyder, and thank you very much for closing the door. I am a digital learning designer for the NTAC network. I was a network teacher for 6 years in integrated courses, history and English, and I have since switched my role within NTAC National after coaching for 2 years to digital learning designer. So if any of your schools participated in the online courses for students in the last 2 years, I was a part of helping design that process. Okay. So you're here with me today to talk about adult learning pathways for professional development. And the focus of this is really going to be on a word, one in particular, word association with badges. So hopefully you have some sticky notes in the center of your table. If you don't have any, let me know. Everyone needs one, just one grand old sticky note. If you could write your name and your school on it, that would be helpful. And then think about what comes to mind of these three choices when you hear the word badges. Okay? Once you have your name and your school and your sticky, come on over to our lovely chart over here and just go ahead and stick your name up there for me. Whichever one of these resonates most closely with how you associate with the word badges. So I'll give you about a minute to do that. Okay, so badges, as far as NTN is considering badges moving forward, is more along the lines of the competency-based pathways that California and Mozilla are investigating. I'm going to show a really quick video for those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about. Like Mozilla, those people that make Firefox, that's nice. What does that have to do with anything? They also have a really large open badging system that is used across all sorts of professions in order to show micro-credentialing competencies for professionals. And so I'm going to show just a minute clip from a video about what is badging for those of you who may not know exactly what I'm talking about. So for NTN moving forward, we are going to be looking at a set of badges to help people in the network learn about the model. Okay. I heard a couple of other things that, some schools have the luxury of bringing everybody in the summer to the conference to start their training process. Some schools can't send people or haven't sent people in a couple of years. I also heard things about the school year that, some people got training on site either before or after school days in the summer instead of their district PD. In addition, I heard that it's often really hard to keep track of where every individual person is in kind of their own growth around professional development, specifically with PBL. And also that if you're a late hire, if you're hired after the school year has started, it's even easier to kind of lose track of where those people are and what they know and don't know. And simple things like this table talked about enrolling students in a course in ECHO. That seems like something they should be able to do. We forget that that is something that a new hire in the middle of the year probably doesn't know if they're not getting some direct support. So we at the network recognize that this is a challenge, right? We know not all of our teachers are getting NTN 101, which is where the majority of new teachers at new schools and also new teachers at existing schools are currently at this time going through their principles and practices session. We recognize that we don't have any supports really to help you all get someone onboarded through that process. So in the last 6 months or so, we've spent a significant amount of time going through a revision of what we're doing with the NTN certified teacher rubric. It has now become a list of competencies that we hope all of the teachers in the network will be able to demonstrate. And from those competencies, we've broken it down into adult learning pathways. Okay? So this is an ongoing new section that exists in the resource library now. It is section number 12, and it's under development. Our goal is to, in the next year, have all of the teacher competencies and also the trainer competencies included in adult learning pathways for you all to take back and use with your staffs. So there are 2 featured resources in this collection at the moment in the resource library. The first one is just an overview, the adult learning pathway overview, and the NTN 101 overview. In a minute, I'm going to give you some time to dive into those resources and look at what is in there and kind of come up with a plan for how you might be able to use that going back with your staffs. So there's going to be some exploratory time. But these are the 2 main resources. NTN 101, as it is being run this week, the same resources and the same big ideas can be found in that pathway. So if you have teachers who are not hired, someone who wasn't able to come but needs onboarding, that would be the place where you'd want to start. Okay? Within this particular section in the resource library, there are a few planning documents that you're going to have time to explore. The adult learning planning document is one that we'd like you to take a look at. This is something we encourage people to share with their coaches, their instructional leader, their instructional facilitators, whomever the stakeholder is that they would like to share their growth with, and whoever needs to keep track of where people are in their onboarding process. Okay. So there's also a learning guide, like a how-to, if you'd like to look at a print version, and a video if you'd like to look at kind of an overview of the whole process and what we're hoping to do. In the collection for NTAC, there is a resource that is actually designed to look just like the pathway submission of evidence would look. So if I'm in the collection, you'll see direct links to the resources that I just pointed out. In addition, there's a Google Form submission. This submission is how people would send the evidence to NTAC National in order to get feedback on where they're at. So at this time, NTN is going to be looking at the submissions that people are sending in for competency approval. Okay. And our goal is to help you all get more and more of your teachers onboarded more quickly, and also make sure that they have that demonstration of, I did this, I can help others on my campus with this, and kind of take some of the pressure off you all too of being the sole onboarders for staff. So really starting to distribute the knowledge base across your staffs and using your existing staffs to help each other a little bit better than we've done in the past. This is also a great way that your staff can communicate with their coach. So coaches will see the submissions of evidence and can have conversations and talk about next steps with your facilitators and have conversations with you all as instructional leaders as to where there might be some patterns or possible gaps in your whole staff or individual staff knowledge. So I'm going to stop there for a second and see if there are any questions that anyone has before we dig in. Yeah.
So you're saying for teachers who are coming onto the PBL process, that from here out forward, for them to be like NTN, certified per se, it's going to be this badge process that will be online.
Our goal is to eventually get the whole NTN certification process moved into that learning pathway.
And is that just for trainers, or is that for all NTN teachers?
That's going to be for all NTN teachers.
Okay.
It's a work in process. Hopefully by next summer, it'll, for all of the teachers, be there.
Okay.
Yeah, NTN 101 is exactly like what the teachers this week who are being onboarded are experiencing. In fact, some of your teachers are, well, if you've been through our process before, you know you often don't leave new schools training with a finished product. You don't have a completed entry document, you don't have a full project, you don't have the rubrics, that there still might be next steps that your facilitators need, and you can direct them right on in there for the same set of resources that they're getting this week that can help them with the process when you get back to your school sites. Okay, what I'd like to do, and I'll take more questions at the end after you get some time to kind of explore and play around in there. I'd like you to take about 20 minutes and go into this specific resource in the collection and kind of look at the pathways that we have, write down any wonders you may have, and work through the experience of submitting the form with evidence. There is a suggested evidence for you to submit for this session. Feel free to do that if you'd like to go through the whole process as one of your teachers would. If exploring is more along your lines right now, go ahead and do that. So we're going to take about 20 minutes to just go ahead and look and see what you see. If you have headphones and you are interested in watching the video, I would appreciate if you would plug your headphones in. And I'll be circulating. If you have any questions, please just raise your hand and flag me, and then we'll come back together in about 20 minutes or so to kind of debrief the process. Yeah, sure. It's in the collection.
Was, the scavenger hunt really worked for them. And they went in, like I said, I had teachers that said, what we did made me feel like I'm ahead of the game before I ever came here.
We were simulating, the PBL process, introducing them to
how they were offered this week. And then the course planning would be equivalent to the curriculum mapping workshops that they were doing.
Library and look for a modular resource that already hits what I had in mind. I figure if I can constantly remind people that, the knowledge is already there, we don't.
So thinking about, okay, so this is great, now what? Like, what is my next step with it, right? So that's hopefully something that you can talk to your coach about and really develop a cohesive plan, or just expose your teachers to it individually and let them run with it. Not everybody is going to want to do this, and we know that, right? But it's a really great way to help people see what their next step is when you might not be able to be there to hold their hand to get them to their next step. And let us know how you decide to fit it in. There are a lot of wonders that we have about all of the staffs in the network and how they're going to use this, if they're going to use this. There are some teachers that have randomly stumbled upon it in the last 2 weeks and have already started submitting things, and we think that's great. But then what? What happens after? And what time commitment does it take for teachers in order to feel that this is useful to them moving forward? Yeah?
Time that it would take somebody, average adult, reading level, etc. How long each part of the module would take? Part of the modules or part of the pathway? Sorry, I meant pathway, because there's the 4 pathways, right?
Right now, there's the 4 badges for the NTN 101 pathway.
Do y'all have like an ETA, like how long it would approximately take? No? Okay.
We don't, and here's why. We had a little bit of a conversation about this. We really are trying to move to the competency-based version of this. And with competency, it could take someone reading the submission question and grabbing a link from their current existing briefcase in Echo, submitting that and calling it done. They might not need any of the resources that we think are useful to complete that piece of evidence. Other people might need every single one of those resources in there and then some more. And so it's really, there's no way to do that that we've figured out. Also, the revision process, there's no guarantee that just because someone submitted something, they're actually going to get the badge, that there's still the revision process and the coaching conversation that needs to happen for people who still have growth around it. So factoring in revisions or multiple revisions is not something that we can estimate. The conversation over here was, well, this would be awesome. I'd like to give some continuing education credits to my teachers or some professional development units, because if they're doing the work, I'd like to honor that. We agree with you, and if you can find a university that would like to talk to us about not using seat time as the only way to give credits and units, please send them my way. That has been a humongous challenge in higher ed, is to find a university anywhere. So if you know of one, please tell me. that would like to partner with us on this, because we are not using seat time as a measure for it, and that is traditionally how higher ed and professional development units are granted within states. And since we're in 27 different states and a whole other country, we don't have a standard measure for that and what that looks like. So please do let me know if you know. Great. Other things that come up for you when you're looking at this? Yeah. Can,
What kind of turnaround will there be on feedback? Is the coach, are the coaches bombarded with do they go to the coaches? Do they get sorted somehow? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. So the back end looks like a small group of coaches, myself included, who are examining the evidence. It is not going to be every single coach at the moment. There's a team of people that is going to be reviewing it. Our goal is 48 hours. However, we piloted something like this with 3 schools this past year, and 48 hours was a tough turnaround right after an event or a coach site visit. Not so hard if someone's doing it a little bit more organically. And to be very honest, this is a very big learning curve for us on our end, and what it's going to look like and how many hours is it going to take to review the evidence based on use. We know from previous experience, we're going to get some hits right after this, and we're likely going to get them again in January. That's how a lot of our virtual supports have gotten traffic, but we'd like to really increase that to be more consistent throughout the year so that your coaching visits can shift too. So they don't have to necessarily be focused as much on training, and they can be more on the adaptive challenges and not so much the technical. And if any of you are in districts that are extending or have elementary, please know you're on our radar as a next step soon, because we do know that it's not elementary specific. Though we've crosswalked with math, we have not gotten to elementary yet.
Talk about this intelligently. So NTN 101, that's a pathway?
It's a pathway.
Okay, and then there's 4 things. Visual NTN, Echo user, NTN designer, NTN implementer. Those are called what?
We are calling those the badges, which is not a popular word for some people. So that terminology could change if it gets to be an unhappy word in our network. But those are the badges that people would earn for the competencies that they are demonstrating.
And then inside each of those, like inside visualizing the end in mind,
there are 3 experiences. Inside visualizing the end in mind, there are 3 experiences that make up the badge for the pathway.
And then you're at the destination.
And then you get it. You have correctly summarized the sequence and the flow. Thank you for asking. Any other questions? Well, we've got about 5 minutes before we're officially released. Obviously, I'm not keeping you. I will be here to answer any questions that you have. I thank you very much, and please do send me feedback. As you're using these, I'm the main point person for this particular project at NTN. My email is up here. You can also find me on Twitter or ask your coach. So I'm Erica Snyder, digital learning designer. Please do let me know how it's working. Let me know what you like and what you don't like. This is very much in its infancy, and we need to make it better so that it suits your needs better. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me and let me know how it's working for y'all. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.